Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts, the altiest arcs of angels everywhere, something along those lines. I'll have to work something out on that. This is Gordon Freeman, the free man, leading you from the darkness into the light through the crypto revolution. Mass adoption equals liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. We choose Binance. So hello everyone. Make sure that we've got all of our ducks in a row. Quack, quack. Very good. And just the right time to see the transformation taking place. We've been watching. The volume has gone all the way down from the last time. It was at $239 million measured in Tether on the Binance Exchange, USDT. And you can now see it had dropped all the way down to 75 million, and it was just really taking things down to their driest point. And things are just now getting to a place where they will possibly start to resync, but unfortunately it helped things to kind of hammer down to their already support place. You can see that for a while, this is one of the ones we've been watching, EST. We have a new position here, and I believe one other. Yes, we have two new positions over here, and it has literally come to start to clear one of them and run out of volume to finish the job. But we've been up at 275, 274 day after day. This is still not a hodl, just a couple of days of frustration while that volume has been dropping very low. So that's kind of the same song for all of the others. There's been a circulation of which things are, it's not really natural peaks yet. It's been more of a pump for different coins. So DNT, BTT made the giant jump from 14 to 16. So if you had bought it at 14 or 15, mostly just 14, then you're among the few that have gotten a profit out of BTT. So that's really awesome. Storm hasn't popped in a long time, but this shows that if it is able to sync like this with Bitcoin, then that means that it was able to get through 3 and 4 and 5 Bitcoin positions, which is a good thing. MFT, another small one. So you can see some of the small ones rise to the top, some of the mid-sized value. POA has been a relatively decent coin. It just needs a lot more volume to have better liquidity. So it's not quite where it needs to be. Loom, IOTX, REQ is one of the ones that are on our list. It jumped exactly with Bitcoin for that first one. So, but it is starting to fall. It doesn't have the volume to do what it needs to do. BNB getting closer to that 004 value again. So if you're waiting for positions to clear there, that's a good thing. So you're seeing that's kind of the top of the upward movement list. And I'm gonna have to return this call. So let's make sure I know where this is. Waves finally getting beyond the 5100, 5200 range. You can see overall, you really should have seen a third peak here. So usually that doesn't happen without it being a kind of of natural causes. But it made up to 5500. Really, in this market, it should be worth about 7200. So I think that it has a lot of upward movement, even though that's a high position for right now. I don't think that I'd be terribly concerned about whether to go in or not. I like the overall activity that it seems like it's able to make. And MCO. So you can see right now a lot of things, more than half of it have peaked from the horrible, terrible level that they had come down to. So let's go ahead and look at the ones that everybody expects to see, which would start with Ethereum. And it's doing really more of a cycle than it usually does. We see a little bit wider waves than what's typical. So on that side, it's good. But if we can look at, let's see, 3, 2, 4, 6, 3, 2, 4, 0, 0, let's say 32400 would need to do about 320, 324. So from about there to there. This is much better than it normally is, but here's the way it looks on the 1 minute. So you can see the initial up in Bitcoin took it down. So it actually returned to where it was before, and now it is finally reaching a higher point. So, the problem is, can it get back into the 3.5 range, I would ask. Yeah, it's been since about a week since it's been up there, so not too terribly bad. I guess what that makes is probably for people that are comfortable with trading day trade or 2-day trades to really take advantage of using Ethereum versus others to trade against. You can see the volume is at about 2,900 BTC. 24-hour volume for Ethereum is really 8,000. Anything less than 8,000 is a weekday. So that shows you the impact of things. So just be very careful. Fuel is pretty flat compared to where it belongs. Fun is pretty flat compared to where it belongs. Should have a lot more fun than that. So we're actually waiting for it to, really get into its own in the 200 and 300 range, and that'll be really nice. It'll happen. The market's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. Go has really been affected by the recent movement, so that's really hurt us. We're expecting to get it all the way back to the peak, and when you see the longer version, it makes a little bit more sense. It's right around its average where we need it to be. So one of the only holds that we're still not into any hodls, but that's the one that it needs a serious pump in order for it to get where it would go. So let's look at the Litecoin. Turn on the light to see the coin, and there she blows. So lots and lots of talk about Litecoin recently having more exposure to resolving faster transactions. Of course, that's what everybody is working on now. It's a capacity issue. Can this coin survive the growth factor that is necessary? And I don't think that that's going to end up actually being where the war is waged, honestly. I really don't. But you can see that we're still not up to its real average of value, in my opinion. I think, the 156 range would pretty much get it there. But people have much higher expectations. And I think that they're not necessarily realistic expectations. So, yeah, I just don't know if 0.025 and higher is... I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what... This will actually be fundamental analysis-based stuff for Litecoin. It doesn't get a free ride for many things. I think they're pretty much a softly spoken, hard-working team there. ONT 2600 is coming back up from its kind of weak baseline. Really, the 4,000 and 5,000 range should be possible with ontology. You can see that it is, at a tenth of what it could do, and its average really should be double where it is right now. So we'll start to see good things in the 4,000 range. It's been since about August since it's been there. Phoenix. Been impressed with Phoenix. It's still a little low on how it can perform. It's just getting hit with the market the same way that other things are. I hope that people are starting to believe me that this is not the bull run. To say it's a bull run is bull. So if you mean it that way, then that's a whole other discussion. Good general movement with REN. REQ. We had started to see the 600 range, and it was really headed for doing its thing. So having to climb back up that hill is a little bit disappointing and frustrating for REQ. My goodness. I never get phone calls, and it's like, I'm going to do Market Watch. And it's like, phone call. Okay. So, fortunately, this won't be a very long one. It's just making sure that you see what just happened and what is happening. So, really, 1250 is strong for Raven. We want to see it be able to stay above 1300 if it can. So we'll see what continues to happen with the market here. Steam really doesn't start to get going after 1,000. So Unfortunately, it's really, same with IOST and some of the other really important smaller coins that are really, gaining real fundamental analysis value. There's actual things happening in the real world, not just in the trading side of things, that should help Steem to grow. They have a great community, but it just shows that with the coins, there is not the logical direct correlation that needs to happen. You hear something great in the news, you might get a spike, but it's really an opportunistic spike. It's like, hey, something great happened to OST, let's pump OST. And it's logical. People will make the correlation, think that it's a real correlation, and jump in. TNT is one of those that I'm surprised that its volume is dropping out as much as it is. Should I be surprised? Probably not. It's just, it's doing what it's responding to. But I would not expect it to be that close to the bottom of the barrel with volume. I mean, anything below 50 is incredibly low on Binance. So that also is an opportunity for those to get pumped. There's no question that that will be the case at some point. VIB is down there. VIBE is down there. Kind of show you, yeah, so it's dropping pretty hard. Waves, like I was saying, I really expected to be able to get beyond the 6,000 mark fairly easily. Don't expect it to have a problem with that. XMR, take off the G and you should be okay. I tend to, unless there's a huge spike in volume, I tend to not want to trade things that are in the $10 to $100 range, just because they tend to get stuck doing their own thing, and their resyncing to Bitcoin becomes very unpredictable. The volume doesn't usually work in your favor. XRP, perfect example. So, I mean, 63 is not really all that bad for it. Just historically, it looks pretty terrible. But that longer downward trend for people that don't have the competence to read charts in shorter order, they're going to see this as, is it heading down towards here? I would say that doesn't have to be the case, because things can change so quickly with Bitcoin, and XRP might be in a position to where they'd be best to kind of keep their mouths shut and appreciate the fact that they're not decoupled from Bitcoin yet, because they're not nearly ready for it from the marketplace. Any superstar, 5-star top list coin should never have to be less than 3,000 or 4,000 BTC 24-hour volume on Binance. So when you start seeing that happen with Ethereum, with Litecoin, with XRP, you've got to understand, people, this is not a bull run. A bull run, there would never, ever, ever be a day that you'd have, only $80, $90 million volume on Bitcoin. You got to understand that that doesn't mean that there has to be $80 million in the pocket. That could be 40 million if it was exactly evenly distributed. But you could do that pennies at a time, literally. You could have $100 trades happening in the thousands that would lead to that kind of volume. So we would see that kind of activity in the 300, 400, $500 million 24-hour volume on Binance for Bitcoin, and at least 10, 20 million on the others, the other big guys, easily, if there was just a little bit of a mass adoption. So this is going to be my public service message for mass adoption. Find people that you think are smart and could understand your 5-minute version of an elevator pitch to explain to them that there's something completely new, better than the stock market, like the stock market, except for it's 24/7 and the fees are lower. And then explain to them from there that, if you understand PayPal, then you understand digital currency, but this is the way that things are going to be done. And they should go and sign up for Binance now, but don't do it alone or they'll lose all their money. So come join Archangel Alts, etc., etc. And then the wheels get turning. We're going to always continue to bring, free news and analysis to the table, and interested in answering the questions as they come, which case I'm actually going to check real quick. So very cool. We got Trash Prop. Let's see. Yeah, cool. So yeah, man, it's good to see you, Trash Prop. Yeah, I don't know what the situation might be on the Twitter stream. We're trying to broadcast several places at the same time. The one I saw on Facebook looks like it's pretty nice looking. It should receive the same thing, but I guess Twitter can probably truncate things down, or I guess it's always possible that one thing gets better streamed than another. So I'm going to look at the 24-hour list again. D&T, yeah, it's not going to last up there. Storm could last up there, potentially, but real volume is what it's going to take. This is just silliness. POA, Lind. You can see very similar between Lind and IOTX. REQ is not going to stay up there long unless things get even. So Waves made it beyond 5,400. Good for you, Waves. Very good for you. So we'll see what it's able to maintain there. That might be a good one to just very cautiously go in on. I would not really trust anything high right now because it's very tough to know the intention of the very quick short spikes. I always describe this like a tsunami, but it really is true, and it's important to understand that until there is, triple, quadruple amounts of volume coming from real liquidity, real actual new people on the market, and not institutions, by golly, by gosh. We need actual human beings. Oh, yes, let this please get back up there. This was at 3,000 BTC when we were within one position of clearing. So it's at 274, then 275, and 279 actually in our browser version. It actually cleared 3% of it. So, oh my goodness, that was so frustrating. But that'll be good to see this. So understand that when Bitcoin, there's 16 main variations if you want to think of it as binary moves, okay? There's Bitcoin's value, Bitcoin's liquidity, and the rate of movement. And one other thing, I should have these written down, but I always do this on the fly, don't I? Yes. Okay, so there's the value, the volume, the rate of, and up or down, I believe. Let me walk this through again. So let's say I have Bitcoin and its average has been at 5,000 and it drops way down $500 in a very short time. So if its value is normal and it goes down too quickly, and you have, therefore, the volume goes up very quickly, but it's all sell-off volume, most of it is sell-off volume, then that is going to pull your altcoins down by slightly more than when Bitcoin went down. If it goes down steadily, then there's still room for cyclical buy-ins and sell-offs for coins that are doing better. Those that perform the worst are going to sync almost perfectly with Bitcoin. Their baseline will continue to go down if it's a steady down. So, fast or slow, up or down, if Bitcoin is going steadily up, then most of the alts will find a way to go steadily up, just mathematically linked, electronically linked to its value. However, when Bitcoin goes surging up, people automatically, they forget everything that's ever happened, and it's the bull run. And so there is some FUD and FOMO that takes place where people want to jump right in and do something. Yes, that builds the momentum, but the first thing that happens is an electronic response, and everything, I don't care how big or small the positive news out there, if it's not Ethereum or Litecoin right now, pardon just for a second, sometimes XRP, sometimes Tron, if it's not one of those, then if Bitcoin goes up fast, it has gone down, and it went down fast. Okay? So once Bitcoin is there, if the volume continues to pick up, but the value stays within a narrow range, which is exactly what it's doing right now, eventually you'll have more activity on the smaller coins. Even if they got pushed down, that'll signal kind of natural buy-ins, but also an electronic response. And let me make sure that I am in the right sequence for muting and not muting. Yes, very good. So you should not have heard sneezes or coughs. You should have just heard talking. Better for everybody. Hold on just a second. Okay, literally, nothing hardly ever happens this time of day over here. And phone calls, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So, yeah, about 16 different variations. I'm actually having there's a missing chunk there in my brain function right now, so I'm remembering 3 out of the 4 of my own process. But the bottom line being that when you see things happen on the market, slow and steady is the natural process. If things become slightly busier, then it's slightly less slow and steady. Then that correlation will dissipate between the coins. For instance, if you had 10 different coins out of, let's just say 200, I don't think that there's 200 on Binance, but the markets have increased. There, you can trade some of those to other alts, and you can trade more of those alts to USD, TUSD, USDT, PAX, USDC, etc., etc., etc. So let's say 10 out of those 150, 200 coins are all 10,000 BTC 24-hour volume or more type coins. Those are going to be less affected by the knee-jerk reaction of a fast buy or sell off, or a pump or spike or a dip or whatever you want to call it. On Bitcoin, they will have less of a negative correlation, because when that surge happens, let's say Bitcoin goes scooting up, and the value of that coin has no reason to have immediately gone up. Even if it's pushed down a little bit, you're going to have people that are immediately buying back in. And so that makes all of the difference. If your coin is always worth 100, unit of 100, let's say, and Bitcoin goes soaring up by $100 and your coin went down to 96.95, you're almost immediately going to have people saying, oh, yeah, that never happens. I'm going to buy it at 95, 96, 97, 98. And as long as there are already tons of people trying to sell it off while new people are buying in, you don't have the problem of whether it's got the liquidity to close a deal for you. So, you put in an order and it's got something to match that order. That doesn't guarantee that the value's gone up yet, but enough people in the same boat as you, and it'll happen. So the other issue there is that the math is automatically spreading against multiple positions, meaning that if it's not currently at a value of 266, then anything really close to 266 can help average out to make that position work. Eventually, the lower that you get, you have more and more people that'll be stuck trying to get their buys and sells completed if the volume is too low. If it's not, you see amazing things happen at 20,000 BTC, 30, 40, 50,000 BTC. And once again, those are indicators for other people to FOMO buy in. But the volume is something that is being created on the fly. So, you can have any coin could immediately go, for example, here, IOST could immediately go from 491 to 500, 550, 560. It can happen in minutes. That volume can kick in. If that continued for 20, 30 minutes, then you'll have 1,000 BTC. So you can understand that volume is tracking the activity. But if it starts to fall off, people see that as a trend. If it starts to ramp up, people see that as a trend. The people that are watching, and their bots as well. So keep your eyes open. It looks like Bitcoin is going to sit here until, I'm going to guess that it's going to do another spike, but I'll show you what I perceive from this. So if you were in our group, you've seen that I've been tracking the volume drop, just waiting for this to happen, and it done did. So that was exactly in keeping with when I was trying to do the market watch. So we were actually going to do the market watch right here. So I had like 4 different phone calls happen at the same time, and et cetera, et cetera. So this to me does not look like something that would get it up from, let's just say 50.80 to 51.50, not quite 100, and then immediately sell it off and it's done. So we're probably going to see two more of those. And you can see that the steady rise didn't really need the volume to do it. We were at 75 million before this spike happened right here. So there was more buying in than selling off. Somebody waited for the perfect opportunity for it to hit 75 million. I've been saying it for 2 days, so it's kind of fun to watch that happen. It was one big signal when it dropped below the $100 million threshold. So now we'll see what happens next. I don't think that this is the mirror to the 4,800. If it is, then we're going to come right back over to 50-50, or around 50-50 on the nose. So we'll see. It may make it up to 52, 5,300, and then have a hard spike, and then come back down gradually or fast sell off, depending on the shorting contracts, to 50-50. 50-50 sounds like a pleasant middle of the road. I'll meet you in the middle at 50-50, quite literally. Let me check and see if Prop said anything else, and that'll be cool. So, Trash Prop, how are you guys doing? I'm actually going to stay on this screen for a little bit. Check it out! Yeah, so I can see you, Trash Prop. In fact, since I'm here, take advantage of this. Make sure and let people know about this page. This is where we get you to sign up for the webinar. We'll have to reset that soon. And teaches you about what you'll learn. You just go ahead and sign up for stuff. Write us, sign up. You don't have to wait for nothing. Just name, email, boom, you're done. We'll let you know when the video streams again. But come join our community. It's free. It's fun to have people. That's where the discussions happen. You'll see that we're tracking our positions, and things are going well. Yeah, that's true, Trash Pop. You are in the future. The past is the future. Time travel, made easy. Easy's the truth, yes. But I'm probably not going to stick around very long. I want to get back to one of those phone calls that were happening. But I also think that we've covered what's going to happen. We're just now getting to check out the introduction to EGC. EGC is fun. We like EGC. So now we actually get to see the past and the future, and wait for the future to catch up with the present so that I can respond to the present, but it'll already be the past. You followed that. I know you followed that. So. All right, one last look at the market, and then one last sign off to Trash Prop. Very, very cool. Check him out on the tube that is you. And it's just so funny. It's like it's one of those things where if you keep watching something, it just is not going to happen. But the second that you go away, it will. So right now, our buy-in cycle is not in sync with our stock RSI, but it will be very, very soon. You can see if you look at the 1 minute, it should technically be going into the next up. But the 5 minute isn't jiving with that too well. So let's look at the bigger picture here. The looking at really, really, really long cyclical indicator chart movement just does not make sense for something that is so driven by independent money. Some things will follow some natural movement because of all the bots that are doing natural trading processes. They're just looking at the indicators and trading off of those. But I think that it would be really nice to see this happen, but if it is kind of a mirroring happening, going back to mid-November when the hard fork took place, we could see Bitcoin kind of leveling off to its previous value again. I really think that, I mean, if it crosses $6,000 and higher, I really think that we've seen the $4,000 and $5,000 Bitcoin for the last time. There are a lot of people that feel the same, and so that usually gives me pause to think, okay, what am I missing? But, really, somewhere in this range, I would have thought that if it's going to bounce towards the bottom one last time, it's going to be 2,800, and then that's it. It's going to be just like a real Hail Mary. It's worth selling off to cause the scare for others to sell off so that it just keeps spiraling. And everybody is already talking about, this is the lowest bounce since 20K. So it kind of stands to reason logically, even though my gut for that 2,800 isn't based on logic. But you can certainly find the details to back it up with the logic of that. But I kind of sort of have a feeling that if it doesn't bounce soon, it's not ever going to bounce again that low. So we might see it go to a half even after it's peaked at 12 or 13 or 14K. But I can't imagine it going from 6K when everybody's impatiently expecting a bull run. Trust me, I don't blame you. I just don't expect it. I'm probably more frustrated than most people by the small things that need to move quicker. So I definitely understand wanting to see the bull run happen, but this is just, it doesn't happen by artificial means. A bull run needs to be that people are actually doing active trading, or it isn't going to work. The manipulation is not well enough understood by the people that have the money to do this. It's kind of the small sharks actually that I'm noticing the 50, 100, 50 Bitcoin to 100 Bitcoin to even 500 and 600 Bitcoin people. I'm noticing those patterns are getting more fluent. They kind of know how to manipulate things pretty well now. But they're really huge positions that plop in there. They're doing it all wrong. So, not necessarily the $80 million buy-in that got us up above 5K. Be interesting to know whether that was a group that was linked to the multiple accounts getting 1,000 BTC. It was reported about 3 weeks ago, maybe more than that. Time flies. Or whether it's something that's just been waiting that whole time. But we want to see natural movement. We want to see a real bull run happen. And to me, that question comes from, if this is just mirroring this little piece here, then that's one thing. If it's mirroring the other one we're showing, if it's mirroring this one, then that's a whole other ball game. Once it gets above 6K and it's been above 5K for a while, not just, hey, suddenly it's $6,000, but it's really, it's earned its way up, kind of similar to what we see over here. Then I find it very hard to believe that we're ever going to see even below 4,000 again. It just, from there, even if it happens by all the means that I don't want it to happen, I don't want it to be, regulation and only through the New York Stock Exchange. It's just not the way. All right, guys. So it was awesome, super fantastically awesome to see Trash Prop. Very, very, very cool. Check him out. And keep your eyes open. Do not get stuck at the top. And, even saying that doesn't make it easy to always follow. So just be cautious out there. And we'll see what happens next. I can't imagine that it does this little spike and stays at 87 million or even 95 million at 51.30. There's bound to be a couple of larger moves coming. But just when you see that it can drop down to 75 million after having done as much activity, I hope that you can understand that that's the real natural market. That's the sad, slow, small, still needs lots of new people market that this is. It would never, ever, ever get to where you have a 3,000 BTC 24-hour volume Ethereum on Binance if we already had the bull run starting to happen. So keep your eyes open. Come join us. Make sure that you subscribe, ring the bell, comment, thumbs up. Help put the word out there that mass adoption comes from the liquidity of trading on a legitimate exchange. You are not betraying your favorite coins by trading them. You are actually adding value to them on the marketplace. It's the same as if you had a local mom and pop shop and You had, this awesome, can of something that they make there, and you buy it, and they're all excited. They got you as a loyal customer, and you're telling everybody, oh, you got to go to this place. And you value it so much that you take that can of whatever, instead of eating it, you put it on the shelf. You say, oh, I love this so much. I shall treasure it. You should go to them. Well, they've already ordered one to take your place, and they're waiting for you to come and buy it again. And you didn't, because you're keeping it. So unfortunately, if that's the way the market continues, then they stall out. They go out of business. That's kind of how the tokens work. If you buy and sell, you buy it when it's on sale and you eat it, yum. And you come and you buy it when it's at regular value because you appreciate it then too. And, the equivalent of that is that, hey, you look for let's say that you're very idealistic. You can say, I only like Ethereum and Bitcoin. Well, then you're going to have a little bit slower process, but only trade back and forth between those two things. Just trade your Litecoin, just trade your XRP with Bitcoin. Or most places you can trade them against each other too. So if Ethereum or Litecoin are having a bad day, you could actually trade out of one into the other. So not terrible options, not horrible. You got to wait a little bit longer and be more cautious. But the upside to that, if you don't need the money that's coming from that, then eventually, you're always going to have an opportunity to be right. Your growth is going to be studded by when those opportunities happen. But also, the upside is that you always have a coin that you like. So there's that side of it. But not trading, just being a forever hodler, is not contributing to the impact growth point that it needs to get to. And we do need to see that happen soon. We want it to come from us, we the people of the globe who are allowed to trade. We want this mass adoption. We want the movement of the crypto revolution to happen because we helped it to happen. We don't want it to happen because the governments came in and issued their own stable coins and diluted the market. We don't want it to happen because banks are issuing their stable coins and they're letting them test market on the exchanges. We don't want it to happen because, the futures contracts hit the New York Stock Exchange and the fantastic, amazing Binances of the world start to shut down. These are not good things, even if it brought the tens of millions of people still yet to join the market. We don't want to have to pay $5 to buy and $5 to sell as the smartest contract size. So, very, very, very interesting times as I leave you with this. We have a little bit of a natural up continuing with Bitcoin. So that's kind of nice. So, I don't know the thinking behind whether this is a spike for good or a spike for selfish purposes, but it took a lot of money to get it there. So it was not an insider. I wouldn't consider this a pump group thing. I would consider this more of an individual thing, or a small group of individuals who are not a public group. So I would expect it to tail off around 5130 and then go up again. And what happens at 5200 depends on whether it's the right time of day and whether other people are interested in getting involved. But just keep in mind, this is the natural movement of the market right here. This is, here, let me give you a boost. And we don't know exactly what their thinking is. So that'll have its effect on everything else. And also keep in mind that, all of the green, unless you have 0 positions already and you're looking at this fresh, then yeah, the green is good. But the ups in the 24-hour change are still trying to compensate for -14 and -27%. So it's not healthy yet. Still really feeling the knock in the teeth from going up way too quickly. So keep your eyes open. You guys be good out there. And for now, Archangel Alts out.